chemicals and so on and so forth. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Kapil Kakar for the talk. Mr. Kapil Kakar.
Thank you, Roy. Good evening to all of you. I said good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
I want energy. Good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
Okay. First of all, I like you to give yourself a big hand because you are the few people who have been able to make it for this talk. So please give yourself a big hand. Unless and until you don't love yourself, you don't appreciate yourself, you cannot love and appreciate others. Yes? So I'm not happy with your big hand for yourself. I want a bigger hand for you. Please give yourself a big hand. I'm slightly confused. I'm still thinking, is it a big hand? Okay, last try. Give yourself a big hand. Very big hand. Okay. When we talk about life in general and our personality in specific, we talk about relating ourselves in life. Now, one very simple thing I asked you. I said, give yourself a big hand. Yes? Now, it's the same thing if I were to ask a small child, Beta, tell me, how big is the car? How do you think that child will express that thing? What do you think that child will do? If I were to ask the child, how big is the car? How would he express it? What will he do? What will he do, sir?
It's this big.
It's this big. So in our language, big hand is not this, big hand is this. Give yourself a big hand. Big hand, yes. Big hand, strength, yes. In life, we need to relate with everything. If we are not relating, somewhere probably we are applying brakes on ourselves. And this talk that we shall be having today, it will cover 3 sections to epitomize it initially. The first section would be, obviously I am not God, yes, but I have given discourses on Gita, I have studied psychology deeply, I have studied astrology. I may not be able to answer all your questions, but certainly I will like to trigger a thought in you, which I have had in my view for a very long time. The second thing that we shall be discussing about is our mind, how our mind works and why is it important for us. And in the third phase, we shall be looking into the expectations of the corporate world through a story. And on that note, now we have a rule here, small rule, which we call green, blue and red. Yes? What is green? When you understand something perfectly, we call it green. When we are little doubtful of our understanding, we call it blue. Yes? And when we don't understand it, we call it red. Excellent. So now I am going to narrate a small story to all of you and then I'll ask you green, blue, red. Please listen to it very carefully. A man was helping his uncle grind wheat in an old-fashioned mill. Uncle had a large farm where black people lived and worked. Quietly the door opened and a little black girl took a place near the door. Looking up at her uncle shouted, "Hey, what do you want?" Meekly the girl replied, "My mama says send her 50 cents. I will not do it. Now go on." Yes, the girl replied, but she did not budge from her place. Uncle went ahead with his work so busily engrossed that he forgot that the girl was still standing there. After a while, when uncle looked up and found the girl still standing there, he again shouted at her, "Hey, I told you to go away. Now go on, otherwise I will teach you a lesson." Again the girl replied in affirmation. She said yes, but she did not move from her place. Seeing this, uncle dropped the grains he had in his hands and started moving towards the girl with an indication on his face which counted for trouble. The man who was witness to this event was for sure he was about to see a murder, and he had 2 reasons for it. He knew his uncle had a fierce bad temper. He also knew that the blacks were not supposed to defy whites in that part of the world. As soon as uncle approached that girl, The girl, looking in uncle's eyes, shouted in a shrilling voice, "My mama says send her 50 cents. Zapped and amazed, uncle put his hand in his pocket, took $50 and gave it to that girl. Taking the money, the girl started moving towards the door, never taking her eyes off the man she had just conquered. Now, my first question is, how many greens for this story? How many of you understood this story? Please show your hands. How many greens? Excellent. And how many blues? Okay. And how many reds? Thank God, we have no red. Yes, my energy did not go waste. Okay. Now, for the sake of the blue, I like to tell you again that this is about a small girl who is living with her mother. Her mother is black, this girl is a Negro, who is living with her mother, and her mother is a laborer. She is a laborer with a farm owner or a zamindar. One day her mother is not well and she tells her daughter, please go and get some money from the zamindar. This girl, she goes and she says, my mother is asking for some money. Now this guy is a big man, he's a busy man, and he says, get lost. Now the girl quietly, she says yes, but she does not move. Now this guy is so busy that he forgets that the girl is still standing there. After a while, when he looks into that corner, he again sees that girl is still standing there. He again shouts at her, I told you to go away, otherwise I will teach you a lesson. Again the girl says yes, but she does not move from her place. Now there is a third person who is witness to this entire event, and when he sees his uncle moving towards a girl, he is very sure he is about to see a murder. Why? Because he knows his uncle has a very, very bad temper. He also knows that the blacks are not supposed to defy whites, that is, they have to comply whatever the white has to say. As soon as uncle approaches that girl, the girl looks into uncle's eye and shouts in a shrilling voice, my mama says send her 50 cents. Now this guy is zapped. He does not know how to react. He puts his hand in his pocket, takes $50 and gives it to that girl. Taking the money, the girl starts moving towards the door, never taking her eyes off the man.